Welcome to another video from Dr. Lock. You're probably thinking this is one of those high-end, high-budget videos that people make on YouTube, and I hate to say no, I'd say you're wrong. This one here cost me a whole of $10, and this is from eBay. Now the reason I bought it was to actually see if it actually does work. Sharpening drill bits. Some people have bench grinders in the back of their van taking up space using 240 volt power, mains power, just to sharpen drill bits and to buff keys. And there's always got to be an easier way. So one of the things I thought I'd look at is this drill sharpener. Now this is only a cheap device. It's got your hex on one side, rotates a little grinding disc down there, a grinding wheel, and on this side here has some grooves and you can just slide it in. It looks like it's been sliding across the floor, and that's kind of the way I got it. But for $10 I'm not too upset about my investment. So what I did is I thought I'd grab a nice yucky drill bit like this one and put it in and see if it'll actually work. As you can see, the drill bit goes in and you can create the angle reasonably. So anyway, what I thought I'd do is I'd plug it in, see how it goes, see if it's worth the $10, see if it's even useful for handyman, apprentice, anybody who just wants that quick edge back on their drill bit to be able to drill whatever there is they're drilling. I mean, for years I've been using an angle grinder, just a simple, cordless angle grinder, and if I needed a drill to be sharpened, I'd simply come along here, use the guide, and I would just go in there like that and create my angles on the side of the disc, which is not advisable, but if you're careful and you're nice to it and you do it on the right angle, then you use the right type of disc, you can get away with it. Alright, so here's my drill here, my DeWalt. Okay, I'm going to put this in. Now I'm going to give you a close-up of the actual drill here so that we can gauge whether or not this is, here we go, we can gauge whether or not this is actually even worth the $10. Okay, so that's not too bad. Around the edges here you can see it's lost its cutting edge. The rest of it's pretty good. Let's go for this bigger one now. Okay, so that's a little bit more nasty, and you can see those two spots there where it's actually taken a lot of the cutting edge off. Still got the good shape on it, but alright, let's give this a go. Never used this before. Don't know if it's worth the $10 or not. Maybe it should be put into the rubbish. Okay, now I'm using a drill here. The reason I'm using a drill is because it's got a higher RPM than a driver. So we want that high RPM. Just focus this up. Okay, so I put my drill bit in here. I find a nice little valley for it to ride in. Nice in. Almost there. Okay, so this valley's not the best. It's kind of sliding out a bit, but it's almost there. I'll just give it a little bit more. Okay, so now let's just have a quick look and see actually what it did. So there's the cuttings or the filings. So it did polish it, but in that time it actually didn't really work on that lead edge too much. Worked it a little bit, but not too much. I can also tell the tip on it there, not the best. Not very impressed with the first go. Let's give it a go again. So this is the only spot it can sit into, so let's see if that works. Okay, that'll give us a little bit of an idea. The drill's starting to go flat. Okay, so how did it do? I can see a little bit of a shine there on the top, not so much on the cutting edge, so we really would need to go down to get that deep groove out of it. It does seem to be, here's my wire brush, does seem to have done a little bit of something, but not very impressive at all. So basically this device here, yes, it can work. Yes, you're going to be there for quite a bit, and if you're going to be there trying to balance this on this angle and get this right and all this sort of stuff, you might as well just use a grinding wheel. And if you need to carry something smaller, You can use this, but it's not very quick and effective. I would simply go back to just using an angle grinder. Much more effective. In actual fact, let me show you how that's done. Hope there's enough juice left in this battery right here. Okay, here's my angle grinder. See if we zoom out here. There we go. Here's my angle grinder. Here's my drill bit. Okay, let's check that. As you can tell, the RPM, where are we here? There we are. The RPM is much greater. As you can see, I have a better edge on that. And that only took about a second. So yeah, I would prefer the angle grinder over that one. But I don't really have any drill bit problems at the moment, and the reason being is because I have an uncle, and my uncle is a collector. I call him a collector. The rest of the family said he was a bit of a hoarder, but anyway, he's just finally moved after 20 years, and we found all these treasures in his house, and he wasn't willing to give up any of these treasures while he was in his house. But now he's moved, and I had a look under his house, his storeroom, and I find all these things. Now let's just note, right, that if you have things and you don't use them, you could be considered a hoarder, but if you have things and you use them, you're more of a collector or a consumer. Now, he had all these things. He's not a tradesperson, and he does have other tradespeople in the family, such as myself, who use drills on a daily basis. So there's just one example. I got about 10 boxes of this, and these are some sort of hardware clearance sort of thing. So we've got all the sizes in them and all the rest. These are brand new frost drill bits, and I've got about 10 of them. All brand new, all sharp. Been sitting under the house for the last 20 years. Okay, so that's just one. As I said, I did get about 20 of them. I love you, Uncle Pete, but you should have given me these years ago. And once again, we've got all the mainly imperial sizes, but you know, he pulls them out and he says, yeah, maybe you can use these. So I don't think I'll be using them too much. And I thought to myself, you've had all these, you don't use them. They've been sitting there, and I go through drill bits like I go through underwear. Well, I'll probably go through them a bit quicker than I go through underwear. When you're drilling stainless, brass, aluminium, all sorts of things, and we really do work our drill bits as locksmiths. We really do work them, use the flutes, you know, break them all the time. We go through drill bits quite a lot. And he goes, oh, maybe you can use them. And I thought, oh, just slightly. So I was pretty happy getting 10 boxes of those. Now it gets better. He gave me other containers of them too, so I got hundreds and hundreds of brand new drill bits, and I'm not complaining at all, because some of them are unique, like this one here. This is a quarter, and it's probably about 100 mil. This comes in really good for those window locks. So while I've been going out there going to the hardware, buying one or two here or there and paying 10, 15 bucks for a drill bit that's long, the right size, he's had these sitting under his house for the last 20 years. And they never go out of fashion, they never go off. He was like, maybe you can use them. I thought, yeah, sure can. So shout out to Uncle Pete. Thanks, Uncle Pete. Wish you'd given them to me sooner. I've been sharpening my drill bits for years and years, and now that I've got these things, it's just awesome. You know, I got boxes and boxes of these things. Not only did I get that, I also got other unique things like this. And a lot of people haven't seen these before. A lot of people haven't seen them in years. These are blind rivets. And the other day I made a project, and rather than using pot rivets where they protrude on one side and leave a sharp edge, I used these blind rivets, and they worked well because then both sides are kind of smooth. We've got some anodized ones in there. I mean, they're the kind of funky thing that you don't normally use too often. But I got I don't know, another 6 boxes of everything from pot rivets to blind rivets to connectors to brass to stainless screws, nuts, bolts, and yeah, love it, just love it, because you know, you can never have enough of this sort of stuff, especially if you've got a workshop, and to buy this sort of stuff is expensive. So getting back to it, am I going to be using this? Nah, probably just going to chuck it in the bin. Was it worth my $10 investment? Well, for somebody like a handyman, yes, you can. I mean, if you don't have an Uncle Pete who's got shitloads of drill bits to give you, then you will be buying drill bits, and drill bits are expensive. You take one drill bit, you could be paying, I don't know, $6 to $10 just for one good drill bit from a good manufacturer. So if that's you and you don't know how to sharpen, then I would move on to just buying one of these. They're not the best. If you're going to spend 10, I would recommend spending probably about 160 and get like the Drill Doctor or one of those other sort of sharpening machines, because this might get you out of trouble if you're on a job site and you've got your drill, but you know, you're going to be there for a while. You need really good RPM to be able to get those lead edges, and these cradles here are just not really good enough for you to sit there and rotate it. So yeah, I would say don't waste your money buying one of them. Buy a proper one if you're going to buy it, and if not,